Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a sort of a horror, home invasion horror film. And we're looking at a film called You're Next. Now this came out, I believe, probably in the early 2000s. And it is based around a family that live in this sort of well, I don't think they live there, but they go into this sort of like getaway. But before we meet the family, there's like the house next door has a young couple living there, and they are the first victims of these sort of house invasion people who sort of like wear masks and stuff like that. And they're at home, and they're just sort of like the guy goes and has a shower, the girl goes and puts on a CD on repeat, and she goes into the sort of like main room, and she sort of gets this feeling that she's being watched through the window. And we don't see her come to any sort of like wrongdoing, but she does. She gets killed, and the guy comes out of the shower, and he starts looking for her in the sort of like living area, and he sees on the window written in blood, "You're next." And then he looks down on the floor and he sees the body of the woman there on the floor. He then sort of like in shock turns around and sort of like comes face to face with our killer, and also gets killed. We then cut to like the main part of the film, which is this family. And we see a husband and wife arriving at this sort of big sort of like country house, and they've arranged a big sort of family get together. I think there's about 2 or 3 sons and one sort of daughter, and all their boyfriends and girlfriends and wives or whatever, and they're all coming to this house for like a little sort of reunion sort of get together. And we see them all sort of arriving one by one, and it sort of succumbs to a lot of sort of bickering going on. The mum's getting a bit suspicious. She sort of thinks there's something going on and something in the house. She hears a noise and waits outside. And then the husband goes upstairs and gets a bit of a jump scare and finds that it's one of their sons. Anyway, so that they all sort of meet up and get together and settle down for the evening. And the mother goes into the kitchen to get a drink, and we sort of like see a shadow of one of our house invaders outside in this mask. We see a reflection on the window, which is quite spooky and really well sort of done. And it cuts to like the next day, and the rest of the family arrive, and they're all sort of getting together, and you got like another son arriving. 2 of the sons are rivaling with each other, and stuff like that. They don't seem to get on, these 2. And then the other son arrives with his new girlfriend. She's quite pretty, and the daughter arrives with her boyfriend, and all this sort of thing. And they all get together, and the mum's saying how great it is. They're all sort of together. And then we join them in the evening around the dinner table, and they're all having like this sort of meal, like get together sort of meal. And so they're all sort of chatting and stuff like that. And again, the 2 brothers are bickering with each other and stuff like this. And the father sort of puts his foot down, said, "Look, to just stop this. It's just stupid, this sort of bickering." But they continue to sort of bicker, etc., etc. And then the boyfriend of the girl sort of gets caught his eye something out the window, and he sort of like swears he can see something in the window. So while they're all sort of jibber jabbing around the table, he gets up and walks towards like the dining room sort of window and looks out. I mean, I can't see nothing at the time, but then a crossbow arrow gets shot through the window, and it goes right through his forehead. And he sort of staggered. No, they haven't really realised. They're all still busy arguing until they realise that he's sort of staggering backwards. And then he turns around, and we see that the arrow's gone through his head, and he falls to the floor. And then chaos reigns. And then they all start screaming and shouting and stuff like this. And on top of that, more arrows start getting flying. The mother's just standing up shock. And the oldest of the sons says, "Look, Mum, get down." And he ends up getting shot in the back. and stuff like this, and then more arrows get shot through the window, and then it turns into a sort of survival horror of the house invasion kind. And that's all I'm going to tell you, the synopsis, because I want you to watch it and find out. What do I think of You're Next? It's a really cool film, really, really good. It is really one of the better sort of home invasion movies. It's sort of up there with The Strangers. If you like The Strangers, you'll love this. It's that sort of thing. And it's a really, really cool film. And the film sort of progresses down, and stories sort of unfold, and little twists and turns unfold amongst the family, and also these killers. And so it's a fight for survival. So who's going to survive and who isn't? The pluses of the film is it holds out well. It's like I said, it was made in the 2000s, and it still looks really well and plays really well now. The acting's a bit hit and miss, but there we go. These are sort of like the non-established sort of actors. It's a very sort of indie horror sort of feel to the film, but still has that sort of like glossy sort of coating on it, if you like, and it plays out really, really well. It does start rather slow. It does take about sort of 25 minutes to get into it before they start having the dinner, and then we get on to like the kind of like gripping, nail biting, edge of the seat sort of movie where we're sort of like hoping that nobody else gets it. Or are we? I mean, I'm quite hoping they all get it, to be honest, because that's just my way my horror brain works. And so it just plays out like just like The Strangers, like being stalked in this house. Negatives of the film, it's not the most exciting of horrors, to be honest, but it is really, really good. It's a great watch, and it is a really cool one to have in your collection. So I'm going to score the film a great film and give it an 8 out of 10, which I think is a really kind, caring sort of score for the film, to be honest, because I was thinking more along the lines of a 7, but then I think, no, do you know what? When this came out, it was a new sort of idea, and it was really good. And I did find the sort of like killers in masks quite creepy. And so I've knocked it up to 8 out of 10. You're Next, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. I mean, I think it's really, really cool. I just don't like some of the characters in the film. The brothers, the family are quite annoying. I actually quite more like the partners of the family more than the actual family themselves. And so it's a sort of fight for survival, and there's only a couple of them that I really hope sort of get out, and that's like the son's girlfriend, because she's really nice, and like the daughter, she's quite sweet, and they're the two I'd like to think, oh, I hope they don't get it. You know, they're the only two that I was sort of shouting for. The rest I didn't really care, so I had no real attachment to them. But it's a great film to watch. Definitely worth picking up if you can get it cheap. Check out some horror channels for me, guys. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzlewell, I'm the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror, and of course, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And a massive shout out to my lad. Hope you're having a great December. Have a great time this Christmas if you don't come in to see any more videos until then. But if you do, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.